Hey everybody, it's Art Bleed here, and our other series is on a little bit of a hiatus while I work on this mini series. I've been noticing a lot of questions, especially from people who've been watching Biffa's series or my series, or maybe you've seen some stuff on the forums for Colonial Charter and been wondering what different things are. So I'm going to make a small series of videos, hopefully not too long, maybe no more than about 7 or 8 minutes, explaining some of the things that I see people having a lot of questions with. The first of which is going to be, what are homewares, what are building supplies, and why do I need them? So in the most recent version of Colonial Charter 1.55, homewares and housewares and building supplies were actually introduced, and these were used to create high-end buildings or late game buildings. And it wasn't exactly the most balanced thing. It was a good idea, but I don't think it was very well implemented. We've refined these in Colonial Charter 1.6. We've also taken the two types of building materials, housewares and building supplies, and separated them into their own separate buildings. We've also renamed housewares homewares. So let me introduce you to the buildings and how they work, and then I'll even show you some examples of producing them and what you can do with their products. So to get started, this little itty bitty building here that looks kind of like a really cute brick house, this is our homewares building. This building produces homewares and fancy homewares. As their name suggests, they're designed for use in building houses and also upgrading houses. So you can upgrade stone houses to country houses. You can upgrade town abodes to fancy town abodes and even town houses. You can also build some new buildings. I'm actually going to pull some of these up for you. You can build these colonial houses, which are really neat. They're kind of like row houses. They're long and skinny. There's different fronts of them, different facades. There's also large ones for families. You've got choices of colors. There's even taller ones. These are the really taller ones. They're like, I'll show you it for an example. Let me turn on and enable zero cost. So here's a standard one. Here's a tall one. Let's get rid of those. What does it? All right. So we have those buildings. I'm actually going to just go ahead and leave them there. These buildings can also, these particular ones, the colonial buildings, can be upgraded. This tall one can be upgraded into a tap house. Additionally, there are the row houses. These guys right here. I don't think these have F variants. And then the officers' townhouses that I believe were introduced in 1.55. There's even this little guy that doesn't require homewares, and he just sticks on the side of a house. He has roof variants. He doesn't have color variants, and I'm actually trying to talk the guys into making color variants, because not only do they look really nice stuck on the side of these row houses, which is what they were designed to stick on the side of. They were actually designed, see if you see that blank space back there, let's go over here and build this. I'll build this so you can see what it's supposed to look like. It was designed to stick to the back of this house. So I'm actually going to face this house the wrong way. This guy was designed to stick back there. So you have extra room. But it's like having two houses. But not only do they look nice on the back of those, which they were intended for, they also look nice on the side of these. They also look really nifty on the side of salt box houses. So I will be talking to the guys about that. Hopefully we can get a version of that for the other houses. Anyway, I just plopped these down because I have debug mode on. But if you want to build these houses and you don't want to use debug, you're going to need homewares and you're going to need stuff from these guys. Now this guy makes our building supplies. Building supplies can be used for much more than building houses. You can build lots of buildings with them. the new quarries, the new above ground quarries. These guys right here for tin and for copper. Produce. Okay, my mistake. I was going to say they use building supplies. They used to use building supplies. Apparently that's been tweaked, so ignore that statement. Because originally they used building supplies. Let me see. I think there's something in here. One of the quarries or something that used it. Okay, they've gotten rid of it. They've tweaked that. Don't worry about it. What else can I build with these? Okay, so let's get back to the buildings before I get off track. Forge. I'm looking for the buildings. Okay, the metalsmith. This guy right here requires building supplies. What he does is he takes metals from the 2 new mines and actually refines them so they can be worked into different things. Canteens, pipes, what have you. So they can be made into more of these supplies to be built. They also trade really, really well. Another group of buildings that actually require these. So the shipyard requires building supplies. This is the new shipyard. If you were partial to the old shipyard, it's still available. I don't think any of these buildings require it. And I don't think, okay, the fiber water mill, this is a new mill. I'll actually let you know about that a little later, but this guy actually requires building supplies. The bedding maker requires building supplies. And I think that is it. Most of the building supplies are used to build high-end stuff, but not just houses and not just buildings. Say you want to upgrade your town. Maybe you want to bring it a couple of centuries out of being banished. Not a couple of centuries, but maybe you just want to jazz it up. There are new civic buildings like the Colonial Hall, which replaces the town hall, and you have to use building supplies and homewares for these. There's also the courthouse, which requires building supplies, just building supplies. And there's also the governor's office, which requires building supplies and fancy homewares. You know, it's the governor. So a lot of our newer civic buildings require them. And if you want to upgrade these houses that require them, there are many ways to make them. There are so many different ways to make them. Almost all of homewares require furniture, except for the fancy homewares, which require fancy furniture, which uses hardwood. There are many things you can add to the furniture to make homewares: copperware, tinware, rugs, pottery, lamp bedding, and glassware. For the sake of this video, we're going to be using rugs. So I already have it set for furniture, 5 rugs. I'm going to check my stuff down here. I've got plenty of furniture, and I believe I have plenty of rugs. So I'm going to go ahead, put a guy there. He's going to start building me some fancy homewares. Over here, same thing with the building supplier. Many different ways you can make the building supplies. I have chosen glass, lumber, and iron because I have plenty of glass, plenty of lumber, and plenty of iron. So I'm going to go ahead and put a guy in there. And I'm going to show you just how they're produced. I'm pretty sure you can figure out the rest of it of how to actually implement it. But I'll go ahead and upgrade a house just so you can see that it's being consumed. So this is my little town. I actually built this ahead of time. These guys are collecting sand for me. These guys are making my furnace fuel. My little glass maker. I really like the way it looked. I didn't mean to put the houses in the middle of the street. But it actually turned out really nice. These are my farms up here. But this is just a tutorial world. The purpose of this world is to show off these 2 buildings and what they can do. So right now I've got my little town hall menu up using the new town arrival. This little guy right here, you notice it's just a light post and a boat. This is sort of like a interim town hall for those of you that are like me, like having the town hall tabs up but don't want to build a full-size town hall, you can build this little guy right here. He's under the civic buildings. It's this guy here. You can plop that down and you can have access to these early game. It doesn't cost a lot to make it, like 12 wood, and you can have it early game. So really convenient if you like having these menus up. I like knowing what's in my town. So by now I'm sure we've got at least one. We've got our building supplies coming. Our first ones are coming. I don't see one for homewares yet. Yep, we got 3 homewares. So I'm going to go ahead over here, and for those of you who haven't seen this before in any of the videos or tutorials, you can upgrade your homes or your buildings with these little buttons now. They actually have a picture of what it's going to look like. What's cool about these buttons is if you have all the supplies and say you want to skip these 2 and jump to the big fancy one. Well, if you have fancy homewares, then you can go ahead and click that button and just skip all the interim ones. That's kind of cool and was a feature that was asked for a lot back in the other versions of Colonial Charter, so we went ahead and gave it to you. You can choose whichever one you like, and that's really a good idea if you have a bunch of these houses lined up together and you kind of want a variety on what you see. So you can have a tall house, a small house, a regular house. We're going to go ahead and upgrade it. This is going to require 1 homeware to use, so I'm going to go ahead and upgrade that house right there. And let's look at our stone houses, because these can be upgraded too. Going to upgrade to a country house. This requires homewares and building supplies. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade that guy, so you can see that they are being consumed. Then we got our building supplies are coming in. We have 3 of those, and I'm going to build 1 building so you can see what it looks like. Let's go ahead and build. Let's build the Colonial Hall. We're going to put this guy over here just for the sake of, just for the sake of the video. I'm going to go ahead and build that so you can just see what it looks like. Oh, sorry about that. I forgot to turn off and disable build cost off. Now I got to find another building to build. Oh, what is that? That's interesting. I'm seeing a new thing. I think that's bronze, hardwood and bronze. Okay, let's see. There we go, an apothecary. We'll build this guy because this guy requires, where am I going to put you? We'll put you right here. So there we are. We've got our country house built that had homewares, and you see the buttons have changed. We've got our townhome built, and you see his buttons have changed. And pretty soon we're going to have an apothecary. So just remember, just keep in mind, you can use any of these different types of materials to make your building supplies. You can use any of these type of materials to make your homewares. Fancy homewares require fancy furniture, which requires hardwood. There's a hardwood forester. Just grab that guy, plunk him down. Looks like this. This is a hardwood forester. Just grab that guy, plunk him down, and grow your hardwood, and you will be on your way to making fancy homes in Banish 1.6. Thanks for watching.